Welcome back to an all-new season, an all-new show with an all-new guy and an all-new name. It's Scot Talk with new head coach Matt Scott. I can't take the credit for that. Mr. Craig Butler, sports information extraordinaire, figured that one out. But anyway, Coach, obviously this is everybody's new here. We're still kind of getting acclimated. We're going to use this first segment. By the way, we're live from Charlie's Pub and Grill. Same place. Backdrop's the same great food. We'll still be hanging out here each and every Monday. But we're going to start this out a little bit differently because, obviously you had an introductory press conference. So I'm going to do a little more of a long-form Q&A to kind of let Fighting Scot Nation know who you are. Obviously, wife, family, you guys moved from New Haven. I don't know, geography-wise, it's probably a little flatter in Erie than it is in New Haven. Yeah. But, so far, what's it like for the fan being? Because obviously you're a big family guy. You made the easy decision. Yep. They had to come along for the ride.
Yeah, it's been a great time here. We moved into Fairview, PA. The community there has been awesome. My son was on the District 3 All-Star team there that won the District 3, so that they had a lot of fun. They've really embraced us. I love the athletic programs that they have there. Obviously, anytime we move, this is the third time we've moved as a family. We always say to each other, as long as we're all together, we'll be all right. And it's been a really great first couple months, about 5-6 months here since I've been in here. So.
Now, obviously, it's not just you that uproots in this move. You mentioned your wife and kids, but there are other wives and kids and families. You brought in, I believe. Well, let's go through everybody. I know that most of the guys came with you, but there were some guys that you hired on in the process as well.
Sure. Yeah. First guy that came over with me from New Haven is our defensive coordinator, Eric Crandall. So he brought his wife and his 2 kids, Hudson and Maddie. So it was pretty funny the first day they ran into the office. I'm like, I know you guys, and it was pretty cool. So they came over. Zach Griffith, who's at WestCon, which is right down the road from New Haven, he came with his girlfriend, Kira, and they're up there in Erie downtown. And then we had Rashad Craig come over from Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, with his girlfriend, Abby. And, I mention these people because they're like, it's serious. We might be hopefully hearing some wedding bells soon.
Well, now there's no pressure, guys. You got nothing to worry about.
I put the pressure on them there a little bit. Coach Hamilton, our offensive line coach, Tyler Hamilton, worked with me at New Haven, was at Susquehanna with one of my former bosses, Tom Perkovich. So he came over to coach our offensive line. And then Max Breyer, who was at Eastern Michigan. His dad's the head coach at Belle Vernon, coaching family. He was at Robert Morris as well. He came to coach our special teams and tight ends. And then we had Coach Gluss and Coach Rivers, our 2 alums. Coach Rivers was a defensive back here in 2018. He's going to be our cornerbacks coach. And then Rob Gluss is going to coach our running backs, coached a bunch of high schools in this area as well. So very, really fortunate to have that type of staff to put together in year 1.
Now, it's funny. Everybody asks me, what's it like? I'm like, it's different. They're like, different how? I'm like, I don't know. It's different. You coach the way you were coached, the way you were raised. Can you kind of walk us through your coaching tree? You've got your style, where you picked it up and who some of your big mentors were along the way.
Sure, yeah. The first guy that gave me my job was Pete Rosamondo, who's now the head coach down at Lamar. And the first time I sat in there and talked to them, he said, listen, I know you were a defensive lineman in college and this, that, and the other, but I'm going to set you up for what it's going to take to be a great college football coach. And that's going to be learning outside the box, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I worked with the defensive backs. And so learned and made mistakes and tried to find a way to get credibility as a guy that, hey, you were a defensive lineman. How are you going to coach me in a defensive back play and things along those lines? So a lot of nights spending with the DBs coach, watching, learning. And so I give him a lot of credit for where, how my coaching career, my philosophy, figuring out defensive play in all 3 levels, really give him a lot of credit for the success that I've been able to have up to this point. Then I worked with Bob Ford at Albany. He's a legendary coach. Took that program from Division III all the way up to the FCS level. The way he can, build culture with his team. Never heard the guy really yell. Always commanded the room, always had a great anecdote and something wise to say to the kids. You never heard a pin drop whenever he was talking. He just, the way he was able to really roll with the room. And then Chris Pinson's at New Haven, Like, I mean, he's just straight up cut from, he's a OG. He's a, cut from the cloth. He is what he is, salt of the earth type guy. And just the way that he was able to kind of build New Haven up to the level that it was, is something that I always try to hang on to, and some of the lessons that he kind of taught me along the way.
Now, you mentioned New Haven and Connecticut and Albany, but you were graduated from a school that we in Indiana, but you're a Western PA guy. Tell us a little bit. Take us a little step further. Your playing career, high school. You guys played a pretty good program at West A, and obviously some of the glory years at Indiana.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, just along with my coaching timeline and tree is the same with who I got to play for. Play for Bob Pelko at West Allegheny, legendary high school coach. Won a state championship with them. Got the chance to play in Heinz Field the first year it opens. To then go to play for Frank Signetti at IUP. Again, I know IUP is a bad word now that I'm a Fighting Scot, but I always cherish and embrace the time I had with those guys because they put me on this path. And played for Frank Signetti for 2 years. And then I got to play for our former Edinboro head coach, Lou Tepper. Again, another legendary coach, wrote the linebacking Bible, how to be a linebacker. So, again, just really fortunate in every stop between coaching and playing to just be around some really legendary coaches, great people, but also just great coaches.
Simeon Rice, Kevin Hardy, do your homework. Pretty good Illinois squad back in the day with Lou Tepper. Now, as we're hanging out here, thanks to everybody each and every year we do this at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. New name, same place, same time. We encourage everyone to stop down to the best that you can. But I want to get your perspective because you're a first-year head coach. And I always find it interesting when, as a father, you remember when you're there's no way I'll do that. Then you find yourself, damn it, I am doing that. What have been some of the things that you've caught yourself doing as the head guy? You're like, I swear I wasn't going to do this, but here I am.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is making sure I continue to be who I was as a coordinator, as a head coach. And the thing that was tough is that a lot of my former head coaches did a great job of insulating me from, hey, go recruit, find your defensive guys, keep building the culture on the defense, keep coaching the defense, and you didn't really run into a lot of the other things that kept you up at night. Hey, this guy doesn't have enough credits. Hey, this guy's got a bill, whatever it is. And so sometimes that can wear down on you, and you lose some of that positivity and that juice and that pep in your step because every time your phone rings or you get a text, it's usually something negative or something bad. And so just continuing to stay positive, understanding the process that it's going to take to get the culture going in the right direction and to get our guys believing in what we can achieve if we all are on the same page and we're all in and we're 2 feet in on it. So that's probably my biggest thing because my former boss, he would always say, like, man, I know I'm a little pessimistic. I'm a little negative sometimes, and I have a little bit more grace for what he was going through, but just continue to stay positive with our guys, uplift our guys through the good and the bad, and the adversity that we're going to face this season is definitely a big thing that I want to continue to make sure that I talk to myself through.
Of course, each and every week we feature a player on the program. We will talk to the new quarterback, Nico Marchitelli. But could you kind of give us a little, you're obviously this is a transfer portal kid. Kind of tell us what your eyes saw and why you brought the young man to campus.
Sure. The first and foremost in the transfer portal, one of the things that you have to worry about a little bit is everybody from the FCS level or the Division I level looks to go down, and they think that you should jump at them because they played at such and such school, but then you watch their tape and they never played, they just practiced. And so while, they might be a little bit bigger, there's something to be said for guys that have actually had success in games. And so what we were really looking for, obviously, as we were looking for transfer quarterbacks to come and compete with what we had was guys that actually have played college football. And so Nico, he started games at IUP. He's played in games. He's been in the system. He knows what it takes to be a quarterback to go out and win a game in the PSAC. So as we were looking at that in recruiting, that was something that was a huge part of who we wanted to bring in here. And then when he got in, he just jumped 2 feet in. He was here early in the summer, getting around, you know what I mean, trying to be present as much as he could and as much as we were allowed to do legally. And, and then right when camp started, you know what I mean, he's just being himself, getting to know the guys, introducing himself to the players, not being a guy that's a wallflower and looking around, but actually has some charisma. And, a guy that 3 weeks into camp, is getting votes to be a captain. Now he didn't end up being a captain. He'll probably be a captain next year, but to get votes as a captain as a guy that's only been here for 3 weeks tells a lot about who you are and how you carry yourself and what the kids believe you can do for us this year. So he's been nothing but exactly as advertised, and I'm really looking forward to some big success here on Thursday.
All right, we're live here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. We will let Coach Scott step aside. The aforementioned Nico Marchitelli will join us here on Scott Talk with Matt Scott when we come back. Welcome back to Scott Talk with Matt Scott, the new head football coach here at Edinboro. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. I'm Joe Ludnowski. We're here each and every Monday night. And, of course, Nico Marchitelli, I appreciate you taking some time.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Edinboro. But I am curious. I did a little bit of research. Not much. I like to make this as uncomfortable or improvisational as possible. But Colorado to Indiana. Is there a stop in between there, or is that just Colorado, the state of Colorado, to Indiana, Pennsylvania?
There was a stop in there. I graduated high school in 2021 at Colorado, and then I did a post-grad year at Kiski Prep in Salzburg.
That makes a little more sense. All right. I was just curious. I didn't know what kind of recruiting budget they had to be getting a high school quarterback out of Colorado. But I do want to – what Coach Scott sort of closed with in the last segment, I've been doing this a long time. And I think the biggest barrier for whatever sport it is, and I think it's because of the geography of where these schools are, that everybody's got a state school that's right down the road, that they think that little Jimmy down the street's good enough to go play sports at that school. This is Division II football. The fact that you have had time in another program, you had a post-grad year, now that you've got the keys to the organization – how much more confident are you because of what's happened prior?
I have so much more confidence now opposed to when I started college. Even when I started my first game, I've been practicing against a college defense for, going into my
But those guys get yelled at if they touch you. The other guys don't. Right. They're encouraged to tackle you. So, walk us through that. What's that like? Because there's a lot of your teammates. They're going to be jumping into the pool for the first time on Thursday night. In that locker room prior to or in the meetings in the lead-up, what kind of advice can you give guys to say, hey, we're not in high school anymore. This is different.
I would just tell them, trust their training. We got good coaches. We got great coaches who, have put them in situations throughout camp to teach them all the skills they need, so they don't need to go out there and reinvent the wheel. Everything that they need has already been given to them. There's a reason they're on the team. They're good enough to play. They're good enough to help us win games. So they just need to go out there and do their part, and we'll be fine.
Now, when you talk about the preparation, East Stroudsburg was 10-2 last year. That is not going to be a joke. One of the all-time greats to ever sling it in this league, Jimmy Terwilliger, their head coach, Harlan Hill winner. I actually broadcasted the first game he ever started in his career. What's that say? I was in college, though. I'm not that old, but I broadcasted the first game that Jimmy ever played. But this is an organization that is really, in terms of the lower budgeted programs, that's what everybody aspires to do. What have you seen from last year's game film? It was a pretty good game. We kind of got sloppy at times, but that's a pretty good program. When you look at what they do and how they run things, you're trying to learn for yourself as you're trying to prepare for them as well, right?
Yes, sir.
What are some things when you are in your preparation that you focus on the most?
I just first and foremost just try to figure out the scheme as a whole. They do things similar to what we've seen the past 3 weeks with our defense, going against them every day. But each defense has their own wrinkles, and you're just trying to figure out what looks best against their looks.
Now, you mentioned you were from Colorado. Not all of Colorado's equal. Are you from a part of Colorado that deals with a lot of snow?
I am. I'm in
Okay.
I'm in the
All right.
heart of the Rocky Mountains.
Good. Because I didn't want to be the one that tells you that you can expect like maybe 6 or 7 feet this winter. Okay, so no big deal. All right, good. I didn't want to. I didn't know if Coach Scott made you aware of that lake effect thing or not. But tell us a little about yourself. What do you? I would never encourage anyone to grow up, but inevitably you'll have to. What are your plans? What do you want to do with your future and your degree?
Well, I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree right now, and then I'll be getting my master's throughout next year. And then after that, I plan to go forward and get my PhD. And at the end of the day, I want to be a professor.
Okay, well, that is. I'm not going to lie, that is not the answer.
Yeah,
that
not
I
very
expected
common.
to hear. Nico, I appreciate you taking some time. Best of luck. Welcome to Edinboro, and hopefully you give us something to cheer about for the next 12 weeks. I guess there's a bye week coming up as well. But congratulations on the job so far, and best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, more to come. Matt Scott will join us. We'll come back. East Stroudsburg, we turn the page. Another Thursday night opener for the Fighting Scots, just like last year. Matt Scott will join us again when we come back here in Scot Talk with Matt Scott live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. All right, back here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, it's Scot Talk with head coach Matt Scott. East Stroudsburg, 10-2. Jimmy Terwilliger, one of the nicest guys in the business, one of the best guys to ever throw it in this league. Believe me, go back and look at some of the numbers. Denny Dowd, one of the great Denny Dowd's lines of all time when I interviewed him one of the first times. I said, Coach, I don't take this any disrespect, but you're a little older to be throwing as much as you have forever. And he said, well, if you saw what East Stroudsburg would look like when I first got there, you had to do something to be different. And they've had phenomenal quarterback play. And McTaggart is no different. Is there an advantage, disadvantage to you? Because I would imagine that the East Stroudsburg staff is watching New Haven film. Now, they played Edinboro last year, and it ended up being a very frustrating loss. But is there almost an advantage in this spot for you? Because what Terwilliger and his dad, that's pretty much stayed the same. Whereas, there's a lot of questions and, as to what identity we're going to be.
Sure. I think I'm not, I'm not naive enough to think that they don't have any idea at least what we're going to look like structurally and some of the things that we've done in the past through getting some tape from some other people. But I definitely think there's an advantage to, us being able to go into this thing having a little bit better of an idea of what they're going to do, and them going to have to take a series or two to figure out what it is that we're going to try to get after them with.
The one thing that I've really noticed, and this is just an evaluation. This isn't a criticism. This is nothing more than the detail in terms of the way that you operate. And it's not you; it's your entire staff. Last year there was a lot of losses that, quite frankly, were individual errors. It wasn't a schematic flaw. It was an individual mistake. How much time did you spend evaluating games from last year? That's not. I don't mean to build an opinion, but sort of gave you a baseline of expectation for the players.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably all I did the first couple weeks when I got in there was just hop on the treadmill and just watch a bunch of games, walking up and down, and just trying to get my idea of who these guys are, who competes, who doesn't compete, and obviously in every game, there was definitely some moments I'm sure the coaching staff would probably look back and wish they did something a little bit different. And I'm sure there's times where the players are looking at it and saying that there's something different. And that was really how we try to attack this spring, was making sure that we're detail-oriented, we're executing at a high level, and we're calling out the times when we just all of a sudden do something that just doesn't make any sense. Because I'm sure that was very frustrating for the staff last year, where all of a sudden there'd be times where you're in the right position, you're in the right place, and you got to make a play or something's not getting done exactly the way you want it to be done. So we've been on that since day one, trying to nip it in the butt, not really letting anything go, by the wayside from a detail standpoint, and hoping that'll lead to some more success on Thursday this weekend.
Now, obviously, you wrap up camp. So I guess your week started Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday was Monday.
Yes.
I'm not going to do math to figure out what today is, but you can follow along if you like. Thursday night, ideal, not ideal? Is it better that it's game 1 and not game 3? I mean, everybody's got opinions. You know, some guys only want to play at noon. Some guys only want to play at night. Some guys don't want to play. Do you care, or is it just 60 minutes and let's go play?
Yeah, I think one of the good things, at least with a Thursday night game early on, is the chance that you'll have a little bit more extra prep or a little bit more extra rest for that following. Now, we are fortunate that we go into a bye week, but next year we're going to play another Thursday night game, and we're going to have to play Saturday the following week. And so to be able to have a little bit of that extra time to get yourselves ready to go, I think is kind of what you look for after that first game, because there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to correct, from not just what you did schematically to how you got on the bus to how you got dressed to what time you went out, all that type of good stuff. So to have that extra time after the first game, I think is always a bonus.
Now, the thing that I was rather amazed by, and like I said, I've been around the PSAC programs for about 25 years. I don't know if you had a guy quit. I mean, camp was pretty clean. Camp was pretty good. It felt like, I don't want to say it was kumbaya, but it did. I don't think I saw any fisticuffs. I'm just like, it seemed to be that was a business mentality from day one.
Yeah, we definitely hit a wall there at some point in camp, probably around, practice 12 or 13, where we're, going out there and hitting against each other again. But I really love the approach of the kids. They've been like that since I've gotten here, just really kind of all business. And so that's really been the biggest thing, is flipping that switch to the game week now. Now we got to ramp it up a little bit more. The urgency's got to be there a little bit more. The attention to detail's got to be there a little bit more. But they worked hard. We put it through them. We were lifting 5 days a week. We were stretching and recovering on the weekend, but we were getting after it during the week, and I applaud them for really adjusting to how we want to do things in this first year.
Who are some of the guys, whether it be the captains, or who are some of the guys that you have kind of been, maybe have exceeded expectation since your evaluation started?
Yeah, again, you look at some of the guys and how much, some of the guys have gotten so much bigger, so much stronger. They're playing a lot faster. But, again, shouting out to even just the captains, right? You saw Gavin Ennis, who was a guy that was, maybe like a role player-ish type guy last year, make a couple plays here and there, to like a guy this year that was, we'd be in so many great positions for him, and Nico would put the ball right where it needed to be, and he'd go up and get big and make a play. So I'm really looking forward to him to have a big year for us. Jerry Dinkins, Karan Robinson, two guys that, going to be 1A and 1B there that, can do a lot of different things out of the backfield, and just seeing how much they cheer each other on, their successes, and work and try to push each other has been great to see. Nate Deans has really grown up. To be a guy that's going to be a redshirt freshman, that, again, another guy that's gotten captain votes, another guy that's looked at as the voice in our defensive back room, and has earned it because of how he plays, how he performs, how he prepares. Those are guys that I'm really excited about to really get an opportunity to turn it loose here on Thursday.
So we have a fun little game. You probably won't like it, but that doesn't matter. I make the rules to this game. 3 reasons you win, 3 reasons you lose.
Three reasons we win. We're alignment and assignment sound, and we execute in everything that we're doing. We do a great job of winning in the critical situations, third down, in the red zone, and we win the turnover battle. Reasons why we don't lose. Reason why
I like. Oh, that was a better answer. That was a better answer.
Yeah.
You're gonna give me 6. I like that.
Yeah. Reasons why we may stub our toe. Obviously, not taking care of the football. Alignment and assignment errors. Again, they're going to do some different things on offense, shifts and motions. Can we communicate? Can we get lined up? And then allowing the moment to get too big for us. Not just going out there and go do your job, do your 111th. You don't need to do any more than that. Do your 111th, do your job, and we're going to be okay. And that's the one thing you worry about, obviously, when you have some new faces going out there to play, is that they try to do too much. The lights get a little bit too bright, and then all of a sudden it becomes, analysis by paralysis there a little bit.
Due to Labor Day, we will not be here next Monday, but there's a bye anyway, so you won't miss anything. We'll be here the following Monday. Airtime on the Fighting Scots Radio Network, presented by ErieInjury.com, is 6 o'clock. Tim Shaw will have the pregame show built by Hobbs Lumber. Kickoff at 7 o'clock from East Stroudsburg. What'd you think? First show, all right?
That was awesome.
Will you be back?
The boneless wings I had the Chipotle. The spice was hitting. It was good. So we're ready to go.
We'll be back in 2 Mondays right here back at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. New head coach, it's Scot Talk with Matt Scott each and every Monday right here. Be sure to join us next week and tune in for a Fighting Scots victory on Thursday night.
Go Burrow.